Good morning.
Good morning. It's June 16th, 2024, and our talk this morning, or our conversation, is called You Are the Puzzle Maker. And I know that's a puzzle to you probably, but we will explain it.
Actually, you are the puzzle master.
Oh, that's what I meant. Puzzle master.
Right, because it's your puzzle. Right.
But first I would like to acknowledge Juneteenth, which is coming up on June 19th. It is now an official holiday, and I just want to read a little paragraph about it. Juneteenth, also known as Emancipation Day, symbolizes the end of slavery and commemorates the reading of President Abraham Lincoln's General Order Number 3 on June 19th, 1865, in Texas, which announced the freeing of slaves. It became an official national holiday just in 2021 when President Biden signed the measure into law. On hand for the celebration was 94-year-old Opal Lee, who advocated for the June 19th holiday most of her life. That's end of quote. Now, I'd like to remind you that Lincoln was assassinated in April of 1865. So that's just like 2 months before Juneteenth. And what's interesting, because I was born and raised largely in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and where they kept the slaves in the dark about their freedom was across the border of Texas in that southeast Texas area. I'm trying to remember the name of the town that they attribute it to, but they just didn't tell them. They didn't much care what the federal government decided. They didn't want to end slavery, so they just didn't tell the slaves, which is unconscionable.
They didn't much care about the government. Oh, that doesn't sound like it's changed.
No,
Doesn't sound like
it
it's
hasn't
changed.
changed. That's the whole Dixie.
Sounds
That's
like-
the whole Dixie mentality.
yeah.
We don't care what you Yankees say or do, but anyway, it is unconscionable and it is a terrible thing. And it's nice to honor that we now have an official day for the end of slavery in our country. Although, the South did not want to let go. They thought they were right and probably still do. So we want to acknowledge that. That's a puzzle too. That's a puzzle to work out. The one thing that makes that, how can that be fair? Not that life on earth is fair, but I once had a friend who was quite psychic say that what makes it all this fair is reincarnation. And she said, the Native Americans that are on reservations and really suffering today are very often reincarnations of the white people that put them on those reservations, decades ago, or 100 years ago, or 200 years ago, whatever it was. So that is the kind of puzzle we're talking about, that often life doesn't seem fair. We have questions like, how can a good God allow this horrible things to happen? And the puzzle can take place over many lifetimes for you to see what's fair and what's not fair.
So I'd like to take you on a journey,
Okay.
a short journey. I'd like you to imagine first off that you are sitting in a beautiful chair that's very comfortable, that you don't mind sitting in. And you are in a beautiful room that is an illuminated room, and there's a 360-degree screen around you. No matter where you look, there's pictures, all kinds of wonderful pictures. And these pictures actually are of you, but they're of you before you actually have a body. This is you in a very special place, and you're seeing the you that is choosing to be here today with us. And you're able to see that you in all of the life that you're living as a wonderful, you could say a video or a 360-degree snapshot of this is your life. And you get a chance, because you're with some very enlightened people, to look at all of these pictures and see where you're going to be, what you're going to do, how things are going to look for you. But you're seeing it as a picture, and you're able to decide what you want to do and if this is the life for you. Now what happens where it gets really interesting is you agree, and this wonderful print, this wonderful picture of you is sent to the puzzle maker. And what the puzzle maker does is the puzzle maker cuts the picture up into 1,000 pieces or 10,000 pieces, but a lot of pieces. And it's put in a gold box. And when you're incarnated into this body, that little box becomes invisible, but it's yours. And every piece of every puzzle of that puzzle is yours. Now, here's why we're doing this way. In this life that you're living, you will have every moment of your life an opportunity to see a piece of the puzzle. But not only to see a piece of the puzzle, but to live that piece and to experience that piece. And so what I'm suggesting is that you are in a space where you get to decide the life that you want to live. And though you can see it much like a movie, you have to live it for it to be your experience. And so what we do is, I believe, is we're living each piece of the puzzle every day, or many pieces of the puzzle every day. And we can see those pieces as they come together, and we can even see the meaning and sometimes the value that those pieces have for us. And we can make decisions about how we're going to handle the puzzle, the piece, what we're going to do in relationship to it. We can see our relationship to that piece of the puzzle that we've said yes to. One of the things that I have been saying for a long time to a lot of folks who I've worked with is that they're trying to evaluate their life and say, well, what's it about? What's the meaning of this? And I particularly say it when something bad happens, they'll immediately jump to, what does this mean? Or I think I know what it means. And that's because we're meaning makers. Our brain likes to make meaning out of anything, whether it's true or not. And what I tell people, and they often will laugh until they think about it, is about 20 minutes to an hour after you've died, it'll be a very good time for you to review your life. And the reason that I want you to wait that long is because until that time, you have not seen enough of it to know what the punchline is, what the bottom line is, what the script really is, what the theme of it is, or what it's really about. In many ways, your life is like a really, really good movie, a very good suspense movie. And right up until the very end, when you think you've got it all figured out, there'll be something that happens. That's what it was about. I had no idea. And so what's really more important than the why, which is an awful lot of what we spend our time trying to do. Why is this happening to me? Why is this, is what am I going to do with what's happening to me? What am I going to do with the life that I have? What am I going to do with this piece of the puzzle that I have in hand now? I can't not claim it because it's mine. I chose it. I can be in relationship to it in a way that builds my life or grows me, but I can't throw it away. And the why is it happening just is not a relevant question.
I want to say that I used to ask that before I got into this teaching. I used to do why me, God? When anything bad happened that I
Yeah.
thought was bad, like God was punishing me. So why me, God? What did I ever do to deserve this?
Sounds like you might have been a Catholic.
Well, it wasn't anymore, but nevertheless, that old conditioning does stick where we think if something good happens, God is blessing us, something bad happens, he's punishing us. And you know, in this teaching, I learned to create wonderful things for myself, learning affirmative prayer. But, you know, the downside of that at this later part of my life that I see is that we still tend to think that if we're not having wonderful, happy moments all the time, perfect health, you know, perfect friendship, perfect relationships, perfect love, perfect everything, that we're doing something wrong. We're not doing the right affirmative prayer. We're not thinking right. We're not guarding our consciousness, all that stuff. And what I've learned, part of my puzzle meaning is at this stage of my life, I see that a lot of the hardest things I've gone through have been some of the most growth forming for me. In other words, they were good for me. They were good for my understanding. They were good for my empathy. They were good for character development. They were good for understanding other people in those situations. And so I no longer believe that when bad things happen to us or they feel bad to us, that we've done something wrong or we've made a mistake in how we're thinking and believing and praying. I believe that a lot of those hurtful circumstances are for us, are good for us, and in fact may have even been planned for us with our participation for this lifetime.
That's really critical. So what you're moving away from is the doing nothing while judging yourself madly and not having even less energy because of the judgment. What we typically do is it's not bad enough that something bad happened. We blame ourselves for it, which makes it worse, and then wonder why we feel worse than we did before we started blaming ourselves. And that really is not useful. So no matter what the thing is, I'm taken back to working in a hospital in the emergency room where I can't count the number of times I would hear the doctor say, now, I'm going to do something that's going to hurt. And I'm going to do, and it's not going to hurt for long, but it's going to hurt a lot because it's necessary for us to debride the wound, to reset the bone, to do whatever, to get you to where you need to be. And at the end of the procedure, the patient would say, that did really hurt. That really was awful, but thank God you did that because now I can continue, I can heal. And so for healing to take place, very often it means we have to debride the wound. We have to see the wound. And most of us would just rather not know that it's even there most of the time. But the fact that what you're saying is huge, Judith, is that because there's a wound doesn't mean that it's your fault.
Right.
It
It
could-
might be for you, not against you.
Yeah, and the wound could be the greatest teacher. I know somebody a while back, I'm trying to remember who it was, I think it's in our congregation, who said that she went to the hospital for a crisis and discovered she had cancer. And had it not been for the crisis that she did not want and would not have preferred and would not have chosen, she would have been dead by now from the cancer. And so as a result of that, she got treated for a condition that that another condition woke up in her. We're being awakened all the time to the conditions of limitation, to what we can and can't reach and can't touch and can't do. That's just life offering to us all of this for us to see. And what's beautiful about it is it's like an exercise program that we get to exercise and grow stronger as a result of that.
Well, exactly. And, you know, this goes even further if we believe, and I do, because I've had some loved ones who passed tell me this, who passed, I mean, they died on earth, that in spirit, there's no pain. There's no pain. Well, that makes our pain on earth even more significant because, as we say, we often learn a lot from our pain. If you take the example of a spoiled child, the child gets everything the child wants, all the clothes, all the toys, everything the child wants, he or she gets. That often does not make for creating a kind, considerate, thoughtful child. You end up sometimes with a brat. And so I think the same is true for us and true for spirits, that as spirit, we don't get the challenges that we get on earth. Hence, I think we choose to come here and experience that. As a matter of fact, I recently was reading about planning our next life once we're in spirit and we're choosing to come back, to plan that with an advisory board of very advanced beings. And what in the world would be the purpose of planning for your next life? Well, I found that there were 5 good reasons for planning the next life. Well, the first one being balance. You know, in the Indian tradition, it's called karma, you know, to balance um, perhaps a wrong that you've done or a failing that you have a personality and you want to balance that out. So you might experience the opposite in the next life.
What I'd like to suggest is that as Judith is talking about, these are the things that you could plan for your next life. You could also apply these right here and now to this life.
It's true.
What is it that
You're the
right now,
puzzle maker.
what is it right now that would bring you greater balance, that would help you in your life have the balance that you need to let go of the things that you no longer need?
Puzzle master, excuse me.
Yeah.
So balance is one. Another important one is healing. And I was giving a very strange example, to me it was strange, that a young girl had the trauma of hearing and seeing her mother shot to death. And it was quite a trauma. So it was decided that in her next life, and this was with her participation, that she would be deaf the whole next life. She wouldn't have to hear anything. And she thought that was a great idea. That was
We don't know how that
a
actually worked
great
out.
opportunity for healing that trauma. So again, if we can stay out of judgment about this is good and this is bad, but that it's all good, I think we're better off. So another thing that might come up in the planning is our service to others. It could be service to a family member, could be service for the whole human population, you know. But
But in a very real way, everything we do is for the whole population. Everything we do, good, better, and different, is for the world and for all of us, because we're all connected. There is no one separate from or impervious to or insulated from what happens in this world between us.
and in fact, that is what they said. They said what you are radiating, you know, basically what your consciousness is, who you are, is blessing the world.
Mm.
You know, that is your service to the world, who you are. So you don't even have to do anything spectacular. Have you ever had a particularly wise human being who really helped you understand things, or I'm thinking about somebody that I knew that wasn't particularly successful, but you know, just was there for me at the perfect time to help me understand stuff that was going on. We all do that for each other, that we are in service to each other. And we often don't give ourselves any credit for that. You know, we're just being who we are. But so that's another reason for planning. To experience contrast is another. To experience contrast, to have more self-knowing. And contrast might be, you might choose a life where you experience not being loved, just because you've had plenty of lives where you were loved. Now, who in the world would ever want that? Now, it's not that you want it, but you want to experience.
Your soul requires
The
it.
soul wants it for total rounding out and growth. And lastly, another reason for planning a life is, and not that everything happens, you know, verbatim, but just generally, it's what the big plan is. Healing or correcting false beliefs or feelings about oneself. About oneself, like I'm powerless, I'm worthless, I'm unworthy, any of those kinds of things that one might have even felt more so after a life.
Or I'm superior, I'm better, I'm greater, I'm more than any of you. And what happens, of course, is that you can live a life of another life of humiliation and realization that maybe that was kind of out of line or out of balance. But again, all of these things can be looked at on a daily basis. And also why this conversation today, I think, is important, is because you're in charge of the position you take to view your life. You're in charge of the position you take to see what's going on with you and to decide what's going on with you. It's not an accident, and it's not something that's a later situation. It's a right now situation. So every one of these things that you brought up today are things we can give our attention and intention to have this life be a life we savor. You know, I think, I don't know about you, but I know there's times for me when I go on automatic pilot, meaning that I'm just I'm not in the middle of having my life. I'm really on hold and nobody would know it because I'm just doing an automatic kind of life. We want to have as little automatic if we can and as much intention as possible. And the more we intend, the richer the experience. I want to reference it to my love of music, of movies, which we both have been sharing. And I talked to a friend and I said, what movies do you like? And he named 3 movies. I said, what do you like about them? He said, what do you mean, what do I like about them? I like the story. I said, what about the editing? I don't know about editing. What do you think about the script? I don't pay attention to the script. What do you think about the cinematography? I don't think about that. The soundtrack. God, you're asking me all these stupid questions. Okay, so you have a chance, if you want to watch the movie as a multi-level, multi-layered, rich experience, Or you get to just pay attention to a few things and say, that was good because I agree with it, or that was good because it made me feel good. And that's okay. But the richer, the more intention you give to this thing called your life, the more thought you give to the moment to moment experience, the more you look at the puzzle and say, this is amazing, and I'm willing to adventure into it, the richer the experience. So this week I'm inviting all of you to look at the soundtrack of your life, look at the script, look at the editing, what are you editing in and what you're editing out, what you're doing to make this a movie that you would like to be able to go back and watch again, because you have seen so much in it that's so worthwhile seeing.
And since it's Father's Day, I want to close with this one thing. While we're talking about understanding and understanding the good and the bad, we might think about our fathers, and some of us have had disappointments with fathers, and it's really easy to judge them when they have a big task, to support a family. They've got a lot of pressures on them to support a family that as children we don't see, we are not aware of, and it's very easy to judge them. And one of the insights that I got once, because it was at a time in my life when I was trying to forge a new career, and it just seemed like men had all the advantage, and I used to spend time wishing I were a man because it was just easier to get ahead, to succeed. And I heard Spirit say, it's much easier to be spiritual as a woman. And I thought about it. Oh my gosh, maybe that's why women tend to be more spiritual. And a lot of it is hormonal. It is hormonal. Men have a hormone called testosterone, and they have lots of it. and, and it makes them very different from women. And it makes them, it is the source of aggression. It is the source of sexual impetus. And oftentimes we don't like some of that or how it outpictures in our life. So I just want to say, if you have any of that with fathers or father figures, you might take some time to think about forgiving them because of the pressures they were under and the hormones that they had and tried to do the best with, because it's easy to judge, and we really need to know everybody's doing the best they can given what they know and believe, and whatever circumstances they're dealing with.
So I have to tag on to that one last thing. Ram Dass says, and I love this, we're all here just walking each other home.
That's right. Yes. And in a role that we're playing this time.
Right. So I'm going to take this moment now to go to screen share.
Oh, okay.
And share screen. And I got it. And what would you like to say about this, Judith?
We would like to invite your donations to support this ministry. We thank you. Most of you here do, and we are so grateful for your contributions. The way you do that, if you want to set it up, whether it's one time or regularly, is you go up to the button that says ways to donate at the top. And by the way, if you ever want to contact us or any of our prayer practitioners who will pray for you, it's in that button, that contact us, or spiritual coaching, one or the other of those. And so there's lots more information than the first page. But if you go to ways to donate, it'll help you with that. And you do that by going to this website, cslpalmbeaches.org. So right now, let's say our affirmation, and you say it for yourself, because as you give, you do receive. This is a law of circulation. It's an automatic law of circulation. So let's say together, my investment today is made with a full realization that God is the source of my supply and returns it to me enriched and multiplied. And so it is. And so, what are we doing?
Look at it and share.
Just okay. Can you just close out that? Very good.
So,
Where's the share button? Oh, here it is.
Sorry.
I can't do anything with that fast.
I know, but it's not, it's not it. We can't. I
Right
did that
button.
already. We just can't get out of this.
Okay, we go to end share.
I'm looking for that. It's not there.
Oh, this is new, isn't it?
Third time I've done it. Up the top. I'm sorry, folks. This doesn't normally happen to us.
Can you stop the recording?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't seem to get to it. I can't get past this. Chat. Stop share.
There it was.
Jeez. Sorry, folks. Not supposed to happen like this.
Can we end the recording?
Yes, we can. Go to meeting, stop recording. Okay.